for the warm welcoming. But I have to start by telling you something up front. And that is, I'm actually not here tonight to give you a motivational speech. I'm really not. I know that may come as a surprise because this is a point in the program that you're expecting one, but that's actually not what I'm going to do tonight. Rather, what I'm going to do is talk to you about how to motivate yourselves. How to motivate yourselves to become what I call high-performance leaders. That is, leaders who consistently make excellent decisions, leaders who deliver great results time and time again, leaders who consistently strive to get better and inspire others to do so as well. How many of you have made a decision in the past that now you look back on and you think, wow, was that a mistake? All of us have experienced that, I'm sure, from time to time, okay? And I'm sure we'll experience it in the future. What goes into an excellent decision? Really, three things. One is the best available information possible. Expert decision makers seek out that sort of information and they assimilate it and use it. Number two, extensive experience. In studies of leadership decision making, the best decision makers tend to have a broad range of experience in different industries as well as a deep well of experience in their own industry. And then number three, solid reasoning. Expert decision makers base their decisions upon logic and analysis, not simply upon emotion or feelings. It is during times of stress or crises that we are most prone to allow our emotions to override our thinking. And when this occurs, something interesting happens because we actually think we're making a good decision, but it's based upon faulty reasoning. What is that reasoning? It's binary reasoning, black and white thinking. When the stress is on, our ability to think of many different options becomes very, very limited. And in fact, this is what's called the fight or flight response. Now, in some circumstances, this is an entirely appropriate response. When you're facing imminent attack, that is not the time to think about all of the different options you have available to you. You either fight or you run. A couple of years ago, I found myself hiking in Montana in a very, very dense set of woods. And all of a sudden, I hear this sound off in the distance, and I couldn't, because it was so dense, I couldn't really see where it was coming from, but it kept getting louder and louder and louder. And then about 50 yards off, this huge moose busts through the foliage. And I'm talking a giant moose, 1,500 pounds, 6 feet tall, running directly at me. At that point, there's only two options: stay or leave. Obviously, I chose the latter. But most business decisions don't have that level of urgency attached to them. To avoid becoming a casualty of emotional decision making, pursue what I call the third way, and that is take a step back and prioritize your options based upon your immediate and long-term goals, recognizing that most decisions have more options available to them than simply two. Ask yourself these questions. Do I see the big picture? Do I have all of the information that I need to make the decision? How much am I emotionally invested in this decision? Does that affect the decision that I ultimately make? Am I too tired? Am I too busy to make an effective decision? All of these are questions that expert decision makers ask themselves before settling upon a course of action. Back to the moose story. You know, there's basically two options, fight or flight, but there's actually a third option. And that's the course of action that I actually took. I stopped for a moment. Maybe it was just a millisecond. It felt like an hour because I was scared to death. But I looked around for the tallest boulder that was there, and I ran toward it and got to the top. And the moose got to the bottom and was circling and circling and scratching the dirt and was obviously really agitated that its prey got away. But after a period of time, he got tired and went home. And I scrambled down, got my nerves under order, and I went home as well. The path to become an expert leader, a high-performance leader, is very similar to what is required to become an elite athlete. It requires focus and dedication, commitment to practice, and great coaching. In fact, much of what we know about expertise and expert performance comes from studies of athletes, as well as musicians and artists, people who do extraordinary things. Well, there's 3 characteristics that distinguish high-performance leaders from simply really good leaders. And the first is their mindset. They know who they are, they know where they're going, and they know what they need to do to get there. They're able to see the big picture and they don't get lost in the details. Second of all, is their actions speak volumes. They consistently make great decisions and they deliver superior results and they learn from their mistakes. And then lastly, is expert leaders are reflecting leaders. They covet feedback. Even in their busy schedules, they take time to reflect upon their actions and they adjust accordingly. Expert leaders are fully engaged in what they do, and they are completely, wholeheartedly committed to becoming better at what they do.